The Grand Galactic Council chamber buzzed with whispers as Ambassador James Walker approached the central podium. His weathered face showed the strain of the past 3 months spent gathering evidence. The massive curved hall, filled with representatives of over 200 advanced civilizations, loomed over him. "Honorable council members," Walker began, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "Earth brings grave news. Our deep space monitoring stations have detected signs of the ancient scourge returning to our galaxy." The chamber erupted in murmurs. The ancient scourge was a horror story, a myth used to frighten young ones across countless worlds. No one had seen them in over 10,000 years. The head counselor, a tall being with silvery skin, raised his hand for silence. "These are serious claims, Ambassador. What evidence does humanity offer?" Walker activated the holographic display. Dark images filled the chamber. Destroyed outposts at the galaxy's edge, strange energy readings, and decoded transmissions that matched ancient warning records. "We found these signs in the outer rim," Walker explained. "They match exactly with historical records from the last scourge invasion. Our scientists are certain they're coming back." The head counselor leaned back, his expression unreadable. "Humanity has been part of this council for barely 50 years. Many species here have monitored space for thousands of years. Why would your primitive sensors detect something our advanced systems missed?" Walker had expected this response. "Sometimes fresh eyes see what others have learned to overlook. We discovered these signs because we were looking for them. Earth has studied the ancient scourge extensively since joining the Council. Young species often see threats where none exist," a reptilian council member said. "It's a natural phase of development." Walker gripped the podium tighter. "With respect, this is not paranoia. The evidence is clear. We estimate the scourge will reach populated systems within 2 years. We must prepare now." "And what would Earth suggest?" The head counselor's tone carried a hint of amusement. "Should we mobilize the combined fleet based on readings from your primitive sensors?" "Yes," Walker said firmly. "We should strengthen our defenses, establish early warning systems, and prepare evacuation plans for outer colonies." The chamber filled with laughter. Walker stood straight, maintaining his dignity as the council members mocked Earth's warning. The head counselor raised his hand again. "Ambassador, the Council appreciates Earth's enthusiasm for galactic security. However, we cannot take such drastic actions based on unreliable data. Your motion is denied." Walker took a deep breath. "Then Earth will prepare alone." "You will do no such thing," the head counselor said sharply. "Any unauthorized military buildup would violate Council law. Earth's membership is still provisional. Don't risk your status over paranoid fantasies." Back in his office at the Earth Embassy, Walker sent an encrypted message to Earth Command. "Council denied. Proceeding with Protocol Dark Winter." The response came quickly. "Understood. Military preparations continue. Public works projects will hide the buildup. They'll thank us later." Walker stared out his window at the glittering capital city of the Galactic Council. Massive towers reached into the clouds, filled with beings who thought they knew everything. He thought about Earth's hidden shipyards, the new weapons being developed in secret, the defense systems being built under the cover of civilian projects. The Council saw humans as primitive newcomers, barely worth noticing. They didn't understand that humanity's primitive nature was exactly why Earth had spotted the danger. Younger species remembered how to look for predators. They hadn't forgotten the survival instincts that had kept them alive. Let them laugh, Walker thought. Earth would be ready when the scourge arrived. And when that day came, the Council would learn that underestimating humanity was a dangerous mistake. He opened another encrypted channel to begin the day's work. Earth had 2 years to prepare for war, and they would use every second. The Council had ignored humanity's warning. Soon, they would face the consequences of their arrogance. In the darkness of space, something ancient stirred, moving closer with each passing moment. The clock was ticking. The destruction of the Aldari civilization took exactly 6 days. One of the oldest and most advanced species in the galaxy, reduced to ruins in less than a week. Admiral Tom Miller watched the recordings for the 10th time in his command center on Earth. The Aldari had possessed energy shields that could stop asteroids, weapons that could crack planets, and a fleet of 10,000 ships. None of it had mattered. The Scourge had emerged from deep space without warning. Their black ships absorbed every weapon fired at them. Their attacks ignored shields as if they weren't there. The Aldari's desperate calls for help had reached the Council too late. "Play the final transmission again," Miller ordered. The hologram showed a dying Aldari commander, his elegant features twisted in fear. "They are not what we thought. They adapt to everything. Nothing works twice. Warn the others." The transmission ended in static. That had been 3 days ago. The Council was still debating how to respond. Miller's console chimed. "Admiral, emergency message from Ambassador Walker." The ambassador's tired face appeared on screen. The Council finally called an emergency session. Too late for the Aldari, of course. "What are they planning?" Miller asked. "Nothing useful. They're forming committees to study the threat. Maybe they'll have a response ready in a few months." Walker's disgust was clear. "How are our preparations?" Miller pulled up the status reports. "Fleet's at 80% readiness. The new adaptive shield systems are installed on most ships. Ground defenses are almost complete. We've hidden most of it under civilian projects like they ordered." "Good, because I think we're next." Walker lowered his voice. "My sources say the Scourge aren't following any pattern. They're targeting civilizations at random. Earth could be hit any time." A junior officer rushed into Miller's office. "Admiral, deep space sensors detecting multiple objects approaching the Arcturus colony." Miller's blood ran cold. Arcturus was one of Earth's most distant settlements. "How many ships?" "At least 300, sir." Energy signatures matched the Aldari recordings. Miller hit the emergency alert. Klaxons blared throughout the command center. "Get me the president. And tell Walker to inform the Council that the Scourge are attacking the human world." "Sir," the officer hesitated. "There's something else. We're picking up other ships approaching Arcturus. Not Scourge vessels." The sensors showed 24 warships dropping out of faster-than-light travel near the colony. Their design was familiar. "Those are Centaurian ships," Miller said in surprise. "What are they doing there?" His console lit up with an incoming transmission. The face of a Centaurian fleet commander appeared. "Admiral Miller, the Centaurian Empire offers assistance in defending your colony." Miller stared in shock. The Centaurians were one of the most militant species in the galaxy. They'd rarely helped anyone. "The Council ordered all species to avoid engagement," Miller said carefully. The Centaurian commander snorted in disgust. "The Council talks while worlds burn. We watched what happened to the Aldari. Your species was right about the threat. We would rather fight beside humans than die evading policy." More alerts flashed. Ships from other species were arriving at Arcturus. None had Council approval. All were offering to help defend the colony. "Looks like we're not as alone as the Council thinks," Walker said, still on the other channel. "What are your orders, Admiral?" Miller straightened his uniform. Earth had prepared for this moment, but they'd expected to fight alone. Now they had allies, species who'd seen the truth just as humanity had. "Tell all ships to form up on our fleet," he ordered. "We make our stand at Arcturus. And send word to Earth. Activate all defense systems. The war has begun." As ships moved into formation, Miller thought about the Council, still arguing in their chambers while worlds died. They'd ignored humanity's warning. Now they would watch as the younger species they'd mocked took action. The Scourge vessels appeared on long-range sensors, black shapes against the stars. Humanity's first real battle for survival was about to begin. But they didn't face it alone. "All ships, battle stations," Miller commanded. Let's show them what happens when you threaten humanity's worlds. The Battle of Arcturus lasted 18 hours. When it ended, the Scourge fleet retreated for the first time in known history, leaving behind dozens of their destroyed ships. In the council chamber, the recordings of the battle caused chaos. Representatives shouted over each other, demanding explanations. The head counselor struggled to maintain order. How did primitive human weapons drive back the Scourge? A council member demanded. It's impossible. Ambassador Walker stood calmly at the podium. Not impossible. We were prepared. While you ignored our warnings, Earth developed weapons specifically to fight the Scourge. That was forbidden. The head counselor thundered. Earth had no authority to create new military technology without council approval. And yet, Walker said quietly, our unauthorized weapons just saved millions of lives, including many non-human lives. The chamber screens showed the aftermath. Earth ships with strange new weapons that had actually hurt the Scourge. Centaurian vessels fighting alongside human crews. Other alien ships joining the battle, following human tactics. This is unprecedented, the head counselor declared. Multiple species engaging in unauthorized military action. The council cannot allow such chaos. A Centaurian representative stood. The council's permission stopped mattering when they chose inaction over survival. Humanity showed courage while you showed cowardice. More representatives rose, supporting the Centaurians' words. Species that had never agreed on anything were uniting behind Earth's leadership. In his office at Earth Command, Admiral Miller watched the council session with grim satisfaction. They still don't understand, he told his staff. This is just the beginning. His screen showed the real situation. Scourge fleets approaching from multiple directions. Colonies across the galaxy sending desperate calls for help. The Council's inaction had left everyone vulnerable. Sir, his communications officer called. We're receiving requests from 30 different species. They're all asking for Earth's protection. Miller smiled. Send them our conditions. Any species that wants our help must share intelligence and contribute ships to the combined fleet. We fight together or not at all. The responses came quickly. Species that had once looked down on humanity now eagerly accepted Earth's terms. The Council's authority was crumbling by the hour. Admiral, Walker's hologram appeared. The Council is threatening sanctions against Earth for unauthorized military action. They're demanding we stand down. Tell them Earth respectfully declines, Miller replied. Ask them if they plan to send strongly worded letters to the Scourge as well. Walker actually laughed. I'll phrase it more diplomatically. How are the new defense plans proceeding? Miller brought up the tactical display. Hundreds of ships from dozens of species were gathering at key points throughout the galaxy, all following Earth's coordination. Better than expected. These species have good ships and brave crews. They just needed someone willing to actually fight. And the new weapons. We're sharing the designs with our allies. The Centaurians are already modifying their vessels. Others will follow. Walker nodded. The Council is terrified. Humanity went from being a primitive newcomer to leading an interspecies military alliance, all without their permission. They had their chance to lead, Miller said. They chose to hide behind rules and protocols while worlds burned. Now it's our turn. New alerts flashed across his screens. More Scourge ships detected. More colonies calling for aid. More species pledging ships to Earth's growing fleet. We'll need every ally we can get, Miller said grimly. The Scourge are just testing us so far. Their main force is still coming. Earth will be ready, Walker assured him. And this time, we're not standing alone. As the Council chamber continued its endless debate, humanity and its new allies prepared for war. The old order was falling. A new one was rising, forged in the fires of necessity. The Council had ignored humanity's warning. Now they watched helplessly as the species they'd dismissed as primitive took control of the galaxy's defense. The real war was about to begin, and Earth would lead the way. In the depths of space, the Scourge Armada gathered strength. But for the first time, They faced an enemy that was ready for them. The galaxy was changing, and humanity stood at the center of the storm. The scourge struck Earth's solar system with a force that darkened space itself. 5,000 black ships emerged from faster-than-light travel, their weapons already firing. They found humanity waiting. All defense stations, execute Protocol Thunderbolt. Admiral Miller commanded from his underground command center. Across the solar system, humanity's true preparations revealed themselves. The asteroid belt lit up as hidden weapon platforms emerged from mining operations. The supposedly civilian orbital stations around Jupiter transformed into battle stations. Mars colony's atmospheric processors turned out to be planetary shield generators. First wave approaching Earth's orbit, his tactical officer reported. Enemy ships are targeting our orbital defenses. Miller allowed himself a grim smile. Let them. The Scourge ships fired their energy weapons at Earth's orbital stations, but instead of exploding, the stations absorbed the energy. Then they fired it back, amplified by human technology. Dozens of Scourge ships vanished in blinding explosions. How? The Centaurian commander's hologram asked in amazement. Their weapons are supposed to be unstoppable. We studied the Aldari records, Miller explained. The Scourge adapt to stop anything used against them twice, so we built weapons that turn their own energy against them. They can't adapt to their own attacks. The Scourge fleet split into smaller groups, trying to overwhelm Earth's defenses through multiple vectors. But wherever they went, they found more surprises. Jupiter's moons launched swarms of automated fighters. Venus's thick clouds hid massive rail gun platforms. Even Mercury's solar power stations turned out to be disguised weapon systems. Admiral, his communications officer called. The Council is demanding to know why Earth has so many illegal military installations in the solar system. Tell them we'll be happy to discuss compliance with Council regulations after we finish saving humanity, Miller replied. Assuming they're still relevant by then. The battle raged for hours. The Scourge, for the first time, faced an enemy that had prepared specifically to fight them. Their usual tactics failed. Their adaptive defenses couldn't keep up with weapons that never hit the same way twice. Earth's allies watched in amazement as humanity's true capabilities were revealed. The supposedly primitive species had hidden its strength well. Enemy fleet is pulling back, Tactical reported. They've lost over 1,000 ships. The rest are retreating. A cheer went up in the command center, but Miller raised his hand for silence. They'll be back. This was just their first attempt. Track their retreat vector. Sir, his intel officer spoke up. We're getting strange readings from the retreating ships. Their energy signatures are changing. Miller frowned. They're adapting, analyzing our weapons. Next time, they'll be ready for what we use today. Then we'll use something different, the Centaurian commander said firmly. My fleet stands ready to support Earth. More allies signaled their support. The combined fleet that had gathered to help defend Earth was the largest military force ever assembled without Council approval. In the Council chamber, the mood had shifted from outrage to fear. Earth had just demonstrated military power far beyond what should have been possible for such a young species. How long has Earth been preparing for this? The head counselor demanded of Ambassador Walker. Since the day we joined the Council, Walker replied calmly. We knew the Scourge would return eventually. While you dismissed us as primitive, we built what we needed to survive. The Council members whispered among themselves. The balance of power was shifting before their eyes. Back in the command center, Miller studied the tactical displays. The solar system's defenses had held, but at a cost. Many stations were damaged. Some were destroyed completely. Begin repairs immediately, he ordered, and activate the secondary defense systems. When they come back, we'll have new surprises waiting. The Scourge fleet vanished into deep space, but everyone knew they would return. They had never failed to destroy a target before. Earth had just become the first. Humanity had bloodied the nose of an unstoppable enemy. The galaxy would never see them the same way again. As repair crews worked to fix the battle damage, Miller thought about the coming days. The real test was still ahead, but Earth had shown it was ready. The Council had ignored humanity's warning. Now they watched in fear as the primitive species they dismissed proved to be the galaxy's best hope for survival. 3 months after the Battle of Earth, humanity's true power began to show, not just in weapons, but in ways that changed the entire war. "Show me the data again," Admiral Miller ordered, studying the holographic display in the war room. Around him, officers from 12 different species worked together, coordinating the combined fleet's operations. The display showed a Scourge fleet attacking a distant colony, but something was different. The black ships moved slower, their weapons seemed weaker. "The bioweapon is working," Dr. Anna Reed, Earth's lead scientist, explained. "The engineered bacteria are consuming their hull material. Every time they travel through faster than light speed, the bacteria spread to more of their ships." The Council representatives watching the briefing looked uncomfortable. Creating biological weapons was forbidden by galactic law. But they couldn't argue with the results. "How did you develop this so quickly?" a Council member asked. "We didn't," Reed replied. "Earth started this research 40 years ago, right after we first learned about the Scourge. We just needed time to perfect it." Miller watched another display showing Earth's factories. They were producing new weapons daily, sharing them with allied species. Humanity's industrial capacity had shocked everyone. "Sir," his tactical officer called out, "the Scourge are retreating from 3 more sectors. Their ships are failing faster than they can adapt." This was humanity's real strength, not just fighting, but thinking differently. While advanced species relied on energy weapons and shields, Earth had developed simple solutions the Scourge couldn't counter. "Report from the research division," an officer announced. "The captured Scourge ship has been decoded. We can track their communications now." More forbidden research that Earth had conducted in secret. The Council members looked increasingly nervous as each new human capability was revealed. A Centaurian commander laughed. "You weren't really primitive at all, were you? You just let everyone think that." "Sometimes being underestimated is an advantage," Miller replied. "While everyone thought we were backwards, we built exactly what we needed." The tactical display updated. Across the galaxy, Scourge ships were failing. The bioweapons spread through their fleet like a plague. Human-designed weapons, now used by all allied species, struck them from every direction. Admiral Walker's hologram appeared. "The Council is calling an emergency session. They're considering officially recognizing Earth as the leader of the war effort." "Kind of them to recognize what's already happening," Miller said dryly. "Any word on their investigation into our illegal research?" "Strangely, they've decided to postpone that discussion until after the war." Walker smiled. "Amazing how flexible laws become when you're winning." New reports flooded in. The Scourge were abandoning conquered territories. Their mighty fleet, which had never known defeat, was being torn apart by microscopic bacteria and primitive human weapons. "We've found their command center," Tactical reported. "It's in the Galactic core, heavily defended." Miller studied the location. "Send word to all allied fleets. We're taking the fight to them." The combined fleet gathered strength, ships from 50 species, all using Earth-designed weapons, all following human tactics. The greatest armada in galactic history, led by the species everyone had dismissed as primitive. In the Council chamber, the mood had shifted completely. Representatives who once mocked Earth now competed for human attention. Everyone wanted access to Earth's technology, Earth's weapons, Earth's strategies. "Remind them," Miller told Walker, "any species that wants our help has to contribute to the war effort. No more sitting safely behind Council rules." The Council had no choice but to agree. Earth's illegal actions had saved the galaxy. Their primitive weapons were defeating an unstoppable enemy. Their unauthorized alliances had united the species like never before. As the combined fleet prepared for its final offensive, Miller reflected on how far they'd come. From dismissed newcomers to leaders of the galaxy's defense, all because they'd prepared while others ignored the threat. The Council had ignored humanity's warning. Now they watched as the primitives they'd dismissed transformed into the power that would save them all. The final battle was coming, and humanity would lead the way. The battle for the galactic core shook the fabric of space itself. 10,000 allied ships, led by Earth's fleet, against the remaining Scourge forces. Their black ships, weakened by human bioweapons, still fought with desperate fury. All ships, execute attack pattern Delta. Admiral Miller commanded from his flagship. Remember the simulations. Don't let them predict your movements. The combined fleet moved like a living thing, using tactics developed by Earth's military strategists. Ships from dozens of species fought as one, their crews trusting human leadership completely. Scourge defenses are adapting to our weapon frequencies, Tactical reported. Switching to backup systems. That was humanity's greatest innovation, never using the same attack twice. While other species built perfect weapons, Earth built thousands of imperfect ones that could be changed constantly. Their command ship is breaking formation. A Centaurian officer called out. They're trying to escape. Miller leaned forward. Not this time. All ships deploy the gravity nets. Hidden devices activated throughout the battlefield, creating artificial gravity wells that trap the Scourge fleet. Another primitive human solution. Instead of matching their advanced technology, Earth used basic physics against them. Sir, communications spoke up. We're detecting strange signals from the Scourge command ship. They're trying to communicate. The battle paused as a transmission came through. For the first time, humanity heard the voice of their enemy. It spoke in a harsh, mechanical tone. You fight differently, the Scourge commander said. All others follow patterns. You change constantly. Unpredictable. Dangerous. We adapt, Miller replied simply. That's how humanity survived its own evolution. Now surrender, or we'll show you how dangerous we can be. We do not surrender. We consume. We advance. Miller cut the transmission. All ships, final attack pattern. Let's end this. The combined fleet struck from all directions, using every weapon Earth had developed. The Scourge command ship, mighty enough to destroy worlds, fell to primitive human ingenuity. As the remaining Scourge ships were destroyed or captured, celebrations broke out across the galaxy. Species that had never worked together cheered Earth's victory. In the council chamber, the head counselor made an unprecedented announcement. In recognition of their leadership in defeating the Scourge, Earth is hereby granted a permanent seat on the High Council. Ambassador Walker accepted graciously, but everyone knew the real power had already shifted. Earth didn't need council permission anymore. The species they'd dismissed as primitive had saved them all. What do we do with the captured Scourge technology? A council member asked. Study it, Walker replied. Learn from it, but don't rely on it. The next threat might be completely different. That was the lesson humanity had taught the galaxy. Don't depend on perfect solutions. Be ready to change, to adapt, to try new things. In his flagship's command center, Miller watched the cleanup begin. Allied ships were already helping rebuild destroyed worlds, using Earth's efficient reconstruction methods. Message from Earth Command. His communications officer reported. They're asking about deactivating our hidden defense systems. Miller smiled. Tell them to maintain everything at ready status. The galaxy's a dangerous place. Best to stay prepared. The combined fleet began dispersing, but not completely. Many species wanted to maintain their military alliance with Earth. They'd learned to trust human leadership. The Council wants a full report on all our unauthorized military research, Walker told Miller via hologram. Tell them they can have it, Miller replied. After we remove the really interesting parts. Both men laughed. The Council's authority would never be the same. Earth had shown that rules and regulations meant nothing without the will to act. As repair ships worked to heal the scars of war, Humanity stood at the center of a changed galaxy. Their primitive solutions had succeeded where advanced technology failed. Their unauthorized actions had saved countless lives. The Council had ignored humanity's warning. Now they lived in a galaxy where Earth's influence touched everything. The primitives had become the teachers, showing older species new ways to survive. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, humanity's warning systems kept watching, ready for the next threat, whatever it might be. 1 year after the Scourge's defeat, the galaxy had changed beyond recognition. The Great Galactic Council Chamber, once a place of rigid protocols, now buzzed with new energy as Earth led the way forward. Admiral Miller, now Supreme Commander of the Combined Defense Fleet, stood at the same podium where Ambassador Walker had once been mocked for warning about the Scourge. The rebuilding of affected worlds is ahead of schedule, Miller reported to the assembled representatives. Earth's construction methods have reduced estimated completion time by 60%. The chamber, once filled with dismissive older species, now hung on every human word. Representatives who had called Earth primitive now eagerly adopted human innovations. Furthermore, Miller continued, the joint military exercises between species are showing excellent results. 20 more worlds have requested to join the Defense Alliance. The head counselor, far humbler than before, spoke up. Earth's leadership in these matters has been invaluable. We acknowledge that our previous assessment of humanity was deeply flawed. Walker, sitting in Earth's new permanent seat on the High Council, exchanged knowing looks with Miller. The mighty council had been forced to admit they were wrong. There's something else, Miller announced. Earth has decided to share more of our research programs with trusted allies. The chamber erupted in excited whispers. Earth's primitive technology had proven more effective than any advanced systems. Everyone wanted access to human innovations. But Miller raised his hand, only with species who actively contribute to galactic defense. We won't repeat the mistake of letting some worlds hide behind others' protection. In Earth's orbital shipyards, vessels from dozens of species trained together, learning human combat tactics. The once divided galaxy had united under Earth's practical leadership. Message from the outer colonies, an aide reported to Miller after the session. The new defense platforms are operational. Full coverage of all approach vectors. Humanity had transformed galactic military doctrine. Instead of perfect defenses, they created layers of different systems. Instead of grand fleets, they used flexible, adaptable forces. The Council archives have been updated, Walker told Miller as they walked through the chamber halls. Earth's warning about the Scourge is now required study for all member species. Miller nodded, along with a lesson about listening to younger species. They might see things the older ones miss. The two men reached a balcony overlooking the capital city. Ships from hundreds of worlds flew between gleaming towers. Peace, but peace backed by preparation. Hard to believe it's only been 5 years since we first joined the Council, Walker mused. They thought we were primitive barbarians. Now they know better, Miller replied. Though I suspect some still don't understand how we did it. Let them wonder, Walker smiled. As long as they remember the lesson, never underestimate humanity. In the depths of space, Earth's warning beacons continued their endless watch. Humanity had learned that threats could come from anywhere. They would not be caught unprepared again. The Council had ignored humanity's warning. Now they lived in a galaxy shaped by human innovation, human determination, and human leadership. New report from Research Division. Miller's communicator chimed. The analysis of Scourge technology is yielding interesting results. We might be able to improve our defense systems further. Good, Miller replied. Because something else will come eventually. Best to be ready. That was humanity's gift to the galaxy. Not just victory over the Scourge, but a new way of thinking. Don't assume you know everything. Don't dismiss new ideas. And always, always be prepared. As the sun set over the capital city, Miller and Walker watched ships from 50 species practicing Earth's combat maneuvers. The galaxy had entered a new age, one where humanity's primitive wisdom helped guide civilization forward. The Council had ignored humanity's warning. Now they followed humanity's lead. And somewhere in the vast darkness between the stars, Earth's sensors kept watching, ready to sound the alarm if needed. But this time, the galaxy would listen. Because everyone had learned, when humanity warns you about a threat, you pay attention. The primitives had become the teachers, and the galaxy was stronger for it.